Hey y'all. So a while back I made a video asking the question whether or not the word cisgender is offensive. And I'd had this experience in the comments section where I'd gotten in an argument with somebody about whether or not it was, and I made a video about the topic pretty quick. I've had a lot of people comment on both sides, and it's been really interesting and informative to read that specific comment section. Most are awful. I happen to think that my comment section on YouTube is pretty great, but there was a lot of debate about this, and so for that video, I'd really come on and I tried to be entertaining, and you can tell, like, if you compare it to just me coming on and talking, like it's a different sort of story. So, I feel looking back, like that video doesn't do the topic the sort of justice that I think it actually deserves. So I thought I'd come on here and make a video where we actually have a conversation about this. Like let's see what some of the pros and cons are to the word cisgender. So some of the pros, one of the pros, we'll say, I think it's amazing that it's used to call out cis privilege, because I think that calling that out is something that's very important. Along those same lines, I think that you can use this word to dismantle cis-normative systems. And you can talk about cis-normativity, or the idea that when you go to get a driver's license, you only get to choose male or female. This sort of gender binary, for example, cis-normativity that we live in. And I think that calling that out actually has power and gives us the ability to be able to dismantle some of those systems. On the con side, people don't like that it's a label that seems to be being forced on people who don't want it. And that's an interesting point. That is, so like, I don't like being labeled. I don't think anybody does. And so I understand, like, somebody else is saying, you're this. And you're like, wait a second, like, who are you to tell me who or what I am? I get that. I mean, my thought on that, though, is that I'm a transgender woman. And even though I identify as a woman, like, even if I said, like, you know what, I don't identify as transgender at all, am I still transgender? Because I was assigned male at birth and I identify as a female. And so even if I don't identify as transgender, am I transgender? And I think that you can ask the same question about being cisgender. So it's not necessarily, like, I understand, I don't want to put labels on anybody, but so those are that's one of the cons. I thought it was a really interesting, it came up a lot. And so I wanted to just make sure that I acknowledged it and that we talked about it, because I think it's an important point. One of the other cons that I heard was that this term, cisgender, is used to divide us. And I thought about this point, and it was really interesting because it does. It does absolutely do that. When you think of women, there are transgender women and there are cisgender women. But that term cisgender, in being the opposite of trans, it divides the community. It divides women into cis and trans. And if you want to destroy that, get rid of the labels, right? So get rid of cis because it's dividing this community. However, there's still trans exists. And I feel like so often that's used as something that's used to exclude trans women, who I see as women, from female communities and women's spaces. Um, so, can we have trans, which also separates women, um, at the same time that we have cis, which separates women? I just thought that this was a really interesting point. So, like, it does divide us. And if we didn't have those terms, if we didn't have terms like cisgender or transgender that divided us, we wouldn't have any other way to describe it but women. And that would be powerful. So I thought that was a really interesting point. Um, I talked to a friend about this too. And she brought up a really funny point. Her point was that it replaces words like fish or GG, which is genetic girl. And it's basically just that, like we as a community, we've already created labels for what this is, right? Fish, like GG, like those already exist. Those came into their own existence because of a need to label something, because of the need to be able to describe something. And so I guess what I see happening is these terms, or cisgender is replacing these terms. At least that's what I've seen. But this was just like an anecdotal conversation. I thought it was also a really interesting point. But so I want to really thank everybody who commented on my last video, because that was really, we had like an informative conversation, and I think that it was really useful for me to sort of unpack this issue. And so I just want to also thank you for listening today. I know it's been a long video of me just sitting here talking. I did get a new computer. I am finally able to actually record on a new computer. The problem is that I don't actually have the editing software right now. So this is probably just going up like it is. But I hope that you enjoyed the video. Thanks for listening. I really want to, let's keep the conversation going down below. So leave a comment, hit the like button. Like these, if you liking this video really helps people see it. And I think that we had such a great conversation. I just want to keep it going. So thanks again for listening. And until next time, I'm Grishno, and I'll see you later.